Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here, and welcome to another video. I was intending on doing the third stage today for this video, but I was in the fish room and I was trying to record some stuff because some people were interested in seeing a full fish room tour, and I went behind the system. This is the view if I were operating the lathe, and I noticed in this filter there's a whole pile of baby cherry shrimp and also a bunch of scuds, and that's exactly what I wanted this to do. I wanted this to be like a little sanctuary and a place where, a lot of life can flourish, and it's doing just that, which is kind of cool. But while I was back here, I figured I would just also record how all the filters are doing, what they're looking like. And they're all doing quite well. You can see some algae building up in some of the pipes, but I never worry about that. I don't bother cleaning that sort of thing. If it doesn't actually interfere with the filter's flow or function, I just leave it alone. This filter here I'm actually really quite happy with. It's doing better than I expected. The water's a lot clearer. I thought it'd be a really good biological filter, but it's also doing really quite well as just a filter, and that was kind of cool. This one almost got taken apart because the plants are growing really well, but if I hadn't have put in the additional box filter, the water is just way too cloudy. It wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. But I decided, well, mostly because I was really busy and I didn't have the time to do it anyway, but I decided to leave it alone. And you can also see the pipe here. There's a lot more algae growing in this one. But while I was doing this, I realized that these baby platies were getting too big for this tank. And they would go in and out of this filter through the holes, and I never really minded, it's fine. But they're getting to the point now where they're big enough that sometimes they're spending a little more time in there, and I think that's good for them. So I wanted to move these guys into another aquarium. This one. So I emptied it all out, got rid of almost all the plants. I left some Java moss and Java fern there, and I had it all cleaned up. And there's a few cories as well. And I figured I'm going to move them down into here. So this started a whole series of things that ended up in this video, because there's some guppies I'm growing. There's a few left in here, but I'm going to move them out. But I bought some guppies, and I had some other guppies. I picked the best ones, and I want to start a really good quality kind of a mutt guppy line. And they're getting to the point now where they're getting quite large, and I needed to move them into a tank, and they ended up being fed a little bit more than the filtration system could handle, so I needed to build an extra filter. So this is the front view of those tanks you just saw, and they're doing really well. Those are some of the baby guppies. They're mostly females. I'm trying to, like I said, keep back as many females as possible. And this is the high humidity planter filter, and you can see it is growing really quite nicely. I actually really like this system. I'm very happy with it, and I'm going to probably not keep too many fish in this because I want it to balance out nicely. But as you can see in the rest of it, all the plants are growing really well, maybe a little too well. And now I've moved all the platies out. They're down below now, and this is going to clean this up, and this is going to be for some pregnant females. And this mess is going to get completely gutted and cleaned out. I've given up on this filter I bought from Japan. It's just it needs to be done. That's another reason why I need another filter. And these are the guppies. Now they're doing really well, but because I'm feeding like 4 times a day to grow them out, it's very difficult for a single filter to keep up with that kind of thing. So I need a small filter, and it's going to be a box filter that I can put in there to clean the extra bit of stuff out. This tank's obviously nice and crystal clear, and it's got tons of plants, so it'll never be an issue. And this is where I put all the platies to grow out. And I don't think I'm going to need anything extra in here just yet, because that box filter is very efficient, and it's been doing really quite well. But the problem is with the first 2 big box filters I made is they are too big. They don't get in and out of here easily. So I need this one here, and the other one, like I said, I don't want them to, I'm going to keep using them, but I need something I can move from one tank to another tank just for when I need a little extra filtration. And I want it to be something that is also easy to make, because I'm doing a lot of builds lately that require a lot of fancy tools like lathes and milling machines like this here, but you actually don't need a milling machine to do this build. I'm using it because, well, it is what I have. I could have hand drilled this, but it wouldn't look as nice, but you can do that. All you need to do is template things. So in this case, what I'm doing is I've set it up as a corner here, and all I'm doing is just I'll drill a hole, flip it 180, drill a hole, and then set up for the next one. It's not hard to do, and the whole point of this particular box filter, besides being functional, it is something that's going to be very easy for anyone to put together. Because the nice thing about box filters is they sit in the aquarium, so if the glue up is, you know, not the best, it will still work because it doesn't need to be watertight. It just needs that most of the flow is going to go where you want it to. So this is the box. It's just a box. It's very straightforward, very easy to cut. And I drilled 4 holes at the bottom because I want a little bit of extra mulm to be picked up. And that is all you really need. And the neat thing about this sort of thing is it takes very little extra time to make 2 when you're doing templating, because once you set it up, it's just flip and change. So you can do 2 just as easily as you can do 1. So I figured I'd do an extra one while I had the opportunity. And then this is just an inside box. It's just where all the media is going to go, and as you can see, it's a bit of a snug fit from back to front, but from side to side it's quite loose. So all you need to do is just put a little strip down the side like this, and that way the flow will come from those bottom holes up along the sides and down into where all the media is going to be, which is going to be inside this. Like I said, this is a very simple design, and I did this intentionally because it's easy to fix and replace. The other 2 box filters are very efficient and do really well, but they have the disadvantage of their friction fits. So they are a little bit of work to get apart and clean and that sort of stuff. Fortunately, they don't need to be cleaned very often, so it's not too big a deal, but I wanted something really simple. Now this is going to be the bottom grate that's going to go in the inside box, and because I have the drill bits for this, I drilled a 1-inch hole to size like I always do. But you don't need to do that. All you need to do is drill a hole, and then what you can do is you can surface glue the pipe to it, and that way you can have it have the center pipe going up without having to worry about having the precision. And like, because this is all just drill a hole, flip, and drill another hole, I didn't measure any of this. This is just the pattern you get is actually really quite nice just by eyeballing it. So like I said, this is something that's very straightforward and easy to do, and it's a great first project for anyone who wants to get into building acrylic things. So those little runners are going to fit underneath this to keep this just a little bit off the bottom, which gives you the clearance like that, and that way the flow will go down through the media and then up through the pipe, just like all the other box filters, sponge filters, all that sort of stuff. They're all based on that same principle, even the underground filters. And here it is set up. Now the only thing that's different in this that you probably wouldn't be able to do easily in the home is I took the lathe, obviously, and I turned down the first little bit of pipe. You can see it there near the top, so the lid will go on easily. Now you can get around that by buying a slightly oversized drill bit. I mean, I have a 1-inch drill bit. I do keep meaning to pick up one that's slightly larger, but because I'm lazy and I haven't gotten around to it, and they're not cheap. I just turn it down on the lathe. So you can get around that though. There are ways of doing that without having to use the lathe to do this. But this way it looks nicer, and of course I have to build them so they look that way. So there you go, it just slides down over like that. The other thing I did is I oversized the lid by 1/16 of an inch, you can see there, just to give it a little extra grip. But the other neat thing about it is when I glue on those runners you see on the side there, they're going to be the catches for how this holds on, so that's a snug fit. But the only reason why it is, because it's a 16-inch oversized, if I glue them for just as if it were to fit, you can see it doesn't quite fit on there. You need 2 hands to give it a slight nudge, and once you give it the slight nudge, it slides in and it holds the lid in place, and that's the easiest kind of catch to do. Now this is going to be where the air is going to be delivered. I'm having issues with air stones. That's another thing I was trying to mention and I forgot to when I was showing all the other updates on the tanks. The ones with air stones are already slowing down, and that's really beginning to bug me. So this pipe is going to have those two little holes you saw drilled there is where the air is going to come out, and because it's slightly raised off the bottom, there won't be any air going underneath the plate. So that's just an easy way of getting around having an air stone. I am actually currently working on a design for a no-clog air stone. It's coming along kind of cool. It almost became today's video, but there's a little bit more work I need to do on it, and I want to try a few extra things out, and hopefully that'll come up soon in a video. It may end up not working out at all, but I will still end up showing you how it goes, because I think it's important to show you the stuff that doesn't work as well, because I do a lot of experimenting with things and it doesn't always work out. I mean, it's a process, and some of the stuff I build I initially really like, and eventually it's just like, I don't like the maintenance of this. I actually do have some updates for some of the things I've built. One of the things that I found is wonderful out of the box kind of way of looking at it. When it's brand new, it flows really well. That is the one of the air powers I did with the small holes in the pressure chamber. The problem is once that gets a little dirty, it's a nuisance to clean. And like I said many times, because I'm lazy when it comes to maintenance, I want something simple and easy, because if it is simple and easy, I know I will do it. But if it's something I have to take apart and fiddle with for 10-15 minutes extra than something else, it may not be something I want to do. So anyway, I'm going to do updates like that later on in the fall. I want to show you some more things that I've done. Some of it's actually really cool and it's doing really quite well, and I like it. Some other stuff, you know, it's it's not like everything will work. So, but anyway, I really like this style of filter design. Box filters are amazing. I'm not sure whether they're better or worse than sponge filters, but the nice thing about them is you can put different things in them, which is kind of cool. So here it is all set up and ready to go in the tank. I did one other thing, that the pipe that you're going to see here as I put it in, it's stuck up a little bit higher than I wanted it to. So there you go, that's how the bubbles go. So when I actually ran this thing, I took it back out and I put a 90-degree bend on the top of it just so that it would not interfere with the lid at all. So initially when you see it going in here, it's just without the lid. I don't mind the large bubbles. I find it works quite well, and of course it never clogs. So, but I want to try making something with finer bubbles. So that will be the no clog airstone build. Hopefully that will come up soon. So this tank here, I did a bit of work on it, so it's a little cloudy. That's just dirt that's stirred up, but I want to see how well this thing will clean. So these are the guppies. They have some interesting colors. I'm not really breeding this for any kind of show or anything, trust me. These are just for clients. I want something pretty. And these guys are coming up quite nicely. They're still very young. They're what 7 weeks, I think, at this... No, yeah, about 7 weeks at this point. So this is 2 hours later. You can see there's a bit of dirt building up here. And the final couple clips, there's going to be one of the platy tank, and then there's going to be one more of this, which is the next day, and you'll see how much clearer it is already. And this is just mechanical, so it's not really the important part from my perspective. It's I'm more interested in the biological, but that will come with you know 6 weeks or so. So it's doing enough of what it is. Even this filter here has been around for quite a while, and it really does a good job, and I like it. But it's just a bit too big for moving around. So anyway, if you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. I'm sorry it got a little long today. And also, I will get back to the other build. I just needed to do this, and then it took up enough time that it became this week's video. So there you go, this is the next day. Like I said, the water's nice and clear now. It's doing the mechanical, which is great for now, but I also really want that biological, but lava rock is great for that, so it'll take care of it. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.